Welcome to Medical Intuitively Speaking. I'm Louise, medical intuitive and holistic nutritionist. Join me on a journey to discuss all things medical intuition, metaphysics, nutrition, and energy healing. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get this started. Hello and welcome. In this episode, I'd like to discuss another client medical intuition session. I want to mention that my client has given me her permission to share the information from her session, but her name will be kept private. So just for some background information, and if you've already heard from my previous podcast how I go about connecting to the energy of my clients, you can just skip over this section. It'll be about 3 minutes long. So prior to any of the appointments with my clients, I ask that they don't tell me anything about their health concerns ahead of time, as that can influence the reading. I base my readings off of a current headshot photo of them. Once I get their photo and prior to the appointment, I connect to their energy and their body and ask my guides to show me their health concerns. I will use an outline drawing of a body front and back on a piece of paper, and then in my mind's eye, I will visualize their body within that outline drawing. I will also visualize them standing in front of me. I look at their body from head to toe, front to back, and at each body system during the assessment. My guides will assist me on the assessment, and I will receive the information through various ways. I will see it, hear it, feel it, or sometimes the information will just drop in as a knowing. I will receive information about their current health issues, previous health issues, and even health issues that will reveal themselves in the future. For this client, when I first saw her photo, the immediate thing that was shown was that she experiences a lot of social awkwardness, that she tends to be really uncomfortable in most social situations. I felt that she was an empath who tends to feel overwhelmed when interacting with others. This is usually due to picking up on the energy and nuances that most people don't pick up on, and that can be overstimulating and really draining to an empath. I was then shown that she struggles a lot with her cognitive health and that she also has brain fog. When I looked at her neck area, I was seeing an issue with her thyroid health. I also saw that she was losing part of her eyebrows. When I got to her breast area, I was being shown that she had experienced sexual trauma. I was also being shown an older man who was an unsavory type. He had a really dark energy about him. When I reached her pelvic area, unfortunately, again, I was being shown sexual trauma. When I got to her abdomen area, they showed me that she typically has bloating. When I looked at her backside, I was being shown that her kidneys were a solid dark color. This dark color represented issues with her kidney health, and it felt very profound as something that has impacted her health for a really long time. During the first session with her, when describing what my guides had shown me, She explained that she definitely has a lot of social awkwardness. As we talked more, it became obvious to me that she was an empath, but she was not ready to embrace it as a gift. She said that she has had kidney issues for a long time, but wasn't sure exactly the reason why. She said that she was diagnosed with thyroid issues a few years back and was put on thyroid medication, but decided to stop taking it. It felt very strong that she still has suboptimal thyroid hormones. We also talked more about her symptoms. She has issues with weight management, high blood pressure. She says that she has very thin eyebrows, and that is what they were showing me. She had a lot of anxiety, brain fog, and felt a lot of depression. She was currently a student studying to become a licensed acupuncturist and realized that something needed to change in a big way, as she couldn't afford to continue to feel this terrible any longer, as it started to impact her schoolwork. So I urged her to get her blood tested to see what her thyroid hormone levels were, her blood sugar markers, and also other markers, what all of her markers were currently at. It felt that her brain fog was also being caused by suboptimal thyroid hormone issues. She said that another contributing factor to her cognitive issues was due to a car accident when she was thrown from her car 11 years earlier, and that caused some brain damage. As a result, she tends to get a lot of headaches. She said that her stomach, or her abdomen, has always been bloated, and she's had issues with her digestion for a long time. As a side note, if our thyroid hormones are suboptimal, that can definitely impact our digestion. Regarding the sexual trauma that I was being shown, she said that she was unfortunately sexually abused by her babysitter when she was 4 years old. To add insult to injury, this babysitter would also lock her in the bathroom and would swear her to secrecy. She said that she let her mother know of that babysitter's abuse, but her mother didn't do anything about it. She said that her mother was also emotionally abusive towards her. She also let me know that the unsavory man that I was seeing was her ex-boyfriend from 5 years earlier. He was indeed older than her, and he was very manipulative and abusive. She said that he was a hypnotist by profession, and though they've been broken up for years, he still attempts to contact her while she sleeps. This unfortunately makes her feel continually violated. Due to all of the emotional and physical abuse throughout her life, she learned to struggle with loving herself, understandably. Her mental health has been greatly impacted, and she said that she had unfortunately tried to take her own life a few years back. And then she ended up in a mental hospital for a while because of it. So because she had so many physical and emotional health issues, we had various healing sessions. One of the things that she wanted to focus on was her kidney issue. So prior to that healing session, when I connected to my guides, they showed me the image of a sailboat winch. That's a mechanism that's used on sailboats to help to tighten the sail. They showed me this because of my previous experience with sailboats. This metaphor was used to show me that her kidneys were tight. They were showing me that it was due to the sexual trauma that she had experienced when she was 4 years old. That sexual trauma had impacted her second chakra, the sacral chakra, and that had an impact on her kidneys. I also used a pendulum to check all of her chakras to see if they were in balance or not. She had several chakras that were out of balance, including that second chakra. To help with the energy healing process of her kidneys, I did with her what is called a soul retrieval, where I had her imagine herself going back in time to meet up with her 4-year-old self just before the trauma began. The goal with a soul retrieval like this is to address the person who had hurt her, to take back all that was taken from her self-love, her self-confidence, feelings of security, and faith in others, and for her and her 4-year-old self to look at that person in the eyes until that person changes in a significant and satisfying way. Some people will see that person change into dust. Some people will see them shrink down to a tiny person. Some will see them turn into a harmless animal. It depends on the person. This then significantly changes the power dynamic and can be very therapeutic to them. I also guided her through some chakra balancing exercises to not only help rebalance that specific chakra, but to also balance many of the others that were not balanced. Interestingly, right after we did all of that energy healing, she started to feel some pressure in her head. This was due to the emotions that she was experiencing. I had her imagine a giant vacuum with a large extension hose, vacuuming up all of that emotional energy that she was feeling in her head area. I had her do this until she started to feel better. It took her about 3 minutes of doing this vacuuming for her to feel better. I gave her some homework for her to do on a regular basis to balance her own chakras and to do the visualizations of that vacuum to vacuum up her negative energy whenever she needs it. At the next healing session, we discussed her lab test results. She did indeed have suboptimal thyroid hormones, and she also had significant blood sugar dysregulation issues. For her thyroid health, I suggested that she discuss with her doctor to go back on thyroid hormone medication. Regarding her blood sugar issues, we discussed in detail the importance of eating whole foods that are much lower in starches and sugars. She was eating a diet very high in starches and sugars, as well as a lot of nutrient deficient fast food. When in general, when our blood sugar is dysregulated, it has a cascading effect on our thyroid hormones, sex hormones, and our sleep hormone, melatonin. Not to mention, it decreases our immune health, and it also greatly impacts all of our tissues through a reaction called glycation. This can cause long-term effects of our arterial health, cognitive health, nerve health, eye health, bone health, just to mention a few. I also stressed the importance of incorporating aerobic exercise. She decided that day to commit to making a major dietary and lifestyle change. At our next healing session, she said that she had already lost 8 pounds due to the dietary and exercise changes, and her blood pressure had lowered and she was starting to feel better. She also revealed that day that for years she had experienced night terrors with entities while she was sleeping. At that point, I decided to revisit the topic of her being an empath and to let her know that I strongly felt that she is also a psychic medium, similar to me and what I had experienced when I was younger. I let her know that I too had night terrors the majority of my life, with entities coming at me while I was sleeping. And they would come out of the ceiling and the walls toward me. And it was so terrifying that at one point I actually punched out a window to try to get out of the room that I was in. It took me years to understand that they weren't trying to hurt me. They were just trying to communicate with me as they knew that I could see them. I explained that what stopped them from communicating with me at night while I was sleeping was that I made it clear that my quote-unquote business hours were closed while I was sleeping. Though I think it may take her a while to embrace her psychic mediumship abilities, she at least has a way to stop the entity communication issues while she's sleeping. Well, this is where I'm going to wrap up this podcast. And if you are wanting to have a medical intuition session with me, I will post my website information in the show notes. Also, I would love to hear your questions, as I plan to have a future podcast specifically answering listener questions, and you can find my email address in the show notes. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to this show and leave a nice review, as that can help other listeners to find the show, and it helps to grow the podcast. And as always, I want to thank you for listening, and I wish you all the very best in health. Take care.